I feel like I'm gonna have a much easier time talking to myself if I'm driving. So we're gonna give it a shot. I feel like this angle's terrible, but you know, we're just doing the best we can with what we've got. My setup for my recording here is a little precarious, but I think it's gonna be okay. Everyone's gonna be okay. And so I'm going to a craft store to get a canvas. I'm gonna make a painting for my office. I'll probably make a video where I'm doing that. Sorry, it's like really bumpy. And I thought this would be a good opportunity to get into some interesting thoughts and conversations with you. I've been kind of getting into watching God is Gray on YouTube, and we've mentioned her channel before, and like it can get kind of heavy, so I feel like I can't like binge it like Emma Chamberlain or something. But the topics that they cover and the way that they do it is just like really thoughtful, and I really appreciate it. And it makes me think about like the oppression of like sexual desires and like our true feelings and our true like gender identity and stuff like that. Like there's a reason why it's like such a big problem, and it's even like difficult for people to even see that it is a problem, and there's something just so powerful in that, and like where it makes it very much worth talking about, I think. There's this feeling of like inevitability, or like what's natural or something, like these kinds of things. These kinds of concepts come up a lot with like capitalism. Like there's this idea that like capitalism is the only option, and it's sort of like it's never going to be any other way, you know. And I think it's similar to like a lot of religions. I think especially Christianity, it's like sex is for the purpose of reproduction, and like any other kind of sex is like a sin. And I feel a little bit uncomfortable talking about that stuff because I was raised agnostic and I'm not super entrenched in Christianity, but I do think that these ideas really permeate American culture, so that like kind of no matter what your background is or your faith, these ideas are kind of here and inflicted upon all of us. The idea that like growing up, if you were considered some like a girl who like had sex, or like I feel like even had sex with like a lot of other boys, or like kissed a lot of boys, or was talking to a lot of boys, like you were considered slutty and like therefore undesirable, as if like possessing your sexuality and making your own decisions about it is like unsavory. Like I have a hard time talking about this because it just like doesn't make any sense, but there is so much shaming of girls growing up that seem to know what they want and like ask for it or get it. I think that kind of like being self-possessed in that way is really intimidating for a lot of people in positions of power. But like why would that be intimidating for somebody in a position of power? I think it undermines some of the mechanisms for control, you know, shame being the first one that comes up. you know, if you're reminded over and over again in school that you're less than your male peers or your more conservative peers or conservative seeming peers, you know, you're getting like socially reprimanded for your behavior. Like there are other negative consequences than just like the other kids like bullying you and calling you, well, that was really cool, like slutty and like rejecting you or something like that. You know, it just like overall I think can really put limitations on what you think is possible in your life. And to like, I think that I've always struggled with my gender. I think my gender presentation, I think that only recently have I really felt comfortable like rejecting the binary and saying that like that doesn't work for me. And like looking back, I see how I struggled with it. Like I remember being super upset when somebody at like a Macy's or something called me like sir, or like used like masculine pronouns for me. I had short hair and I probably was like still had like a lot of baby weight in my face and stuff, and I was like pretty upset. Like I still kind of remember that. But now it's like if somebody calls me like male pronouns or gender neutral pronouns, I'm just so happy, because I think that I'm not in conflict with that part of myself so much anymore. Like I've really embraced it. And even like the idea of the binary thinking like really permeates so much more than just that. Like even after I felt like, okay, I'm like queer and even like maybe non-binary, but feeling like I need to adhere to some like aesthetic, like in terms of how I dress or whatever, dress and like style and wear makeup and things. And I was putting all this pressure on myself to like sort that out and like commit to it or something, and it didn't really help. Like once I was okay with like I'm gonna feel different every day and that's gonna look different and I should just like go with it, that was super liberating, and I feel like more comfortable in my own skin because of it. And like also I feel like I can make choices, you know, that feel right to me in the moment and maybe aren't like the same as yesterday. You know what I mean? I think I used to feel like that was pretty like frivolous and like mercurial, and in the past just committing to one kind of way helped me emotionally, psychologically, and it just helped me to realize that even though that way of like making these choices worked for me in the past, it doesn't mean that it's the same thing's going to work for me now. So I want to return to the idea about sex just being for procreation. I think a long time ago that was definitely a concern. Nowadays we're talking about overpopulation and running out of resources like water, drinkable water, and so for people to say like that's the natural way and it's the way things are supposed to be now, like I understand that they're coming from that place of like thinking about the history of man and the role of sex as we understand it, you know, and trying to be like scientific about it almost. Like I understand how that could be. when you take into consideration that right now population isn't a concern in terms of underpopulation, like it's time to consider the other benefits of having sex. There are so many, and I can make like 10 videos about that. Maybe I should. It extends into so many aspects of who we are, like our understanding of who we are individually, our ability to connect with other people, hear them, and sort of like be present with one another and like understand one another and be like willing to understand one another in the bedroom, yes, but also outside the bedroom. And just the thought that like sex can be very enjoyable. Some people, might have been brought up in an environment where like sex is considered violent or is expected to be violent, and that is a great environment for predators to thrive in, right? You like, it's supposed to hurt, or men are supposed to be dominant, and all those kinds of like toxic masculinity things where it's trying to pass like a kind of brutality and abusiveness and predatoriness, to be like conflating that with being like masculine. I think people have been talking about it a lot lately in the last couple of years, so it's like kind of a light is being shown on that as not making any sense, and really benefiting people who want to take advantage of others. So first of all, to see that sex can be very enjoyable, that when you find somebody who is able to like provide pleasure for you, or even alone for you to be able to provide yourself pleasure, that's very powerful, and like can be a really good way to know what you like and what you don't like. I know that it can be hard to like self-initiate that, and to like, for me, I have a hard time like putting time into that sort of like work, or like putting time into getting a better understanding of my body and what I like, and how those things are always changing. And like I like to experiment with other people sexually. Like I have a lot of fun kind of being like playful and trying to pick up on what people like, or just like throwing random ideas out to be like, hey, like what if we tried this, or I've got an idea. Like really trying to just listen to my intuition, and creating an environment where like people can make suggestions, and it's like okay to be like, I'm not really into that, why don't we do this instead, or sort of like making it a collaborative experience. I mean, I really like collaboration and like creativity, and I think that's super true for in bed. So I didn't drive for a while, like living in the city, and now that we're out of the city, I'm just starting to really get used to like driving regularly, semi-regularly. I'm like way more chill than I used to be. Like I'm kind of not in a hurry with it, and I really try to be extra safe, even when I'm trying to make a video. Gosh, that looks so cool. The sun behind me. Glories of nature. But I was talking about experimenting I think that even in those moments, a lot of the time, like I get pleasure out of like kind of playing. I don't know that I often get that much like physical pleasure, because I do have like a lot of anxiety, and that can really like blur, like kind of like fog up my experience, unfortunately. So I do feel pleasure more when I feel like super safe and I feel very like familiar with the people that I'm playing with, having sex with. You know, if like you don't feel like you need to like second guess a lot, it's like way more pleasurable. Like what are they trying to do? What do they want? Am I having a good time? What do I want? So we were seeing somebody like semi-regularly, and it was nice. Like we felt like we were just really friends, and we definitely would hook up and also be able to like just know about what they have going on and in their lives, and kind of support them on that, and be like kind of be there for them in that way. And you know, I've definitely done the like random hookup stuff, and it can be fun. It can be exhilarating. It can feel nice just to like to kind of like be a little rebellious in a way, and to feel like people want to have sex with you, then like the people that you want to have sex with want to have sex with you. That can be fun, but I don't think, like, in terms of pleasure, I get the most pleasure out of feeling like very safe. Like even to be in my own home, in my own bed, helps. To be with my partner can really set up for like a nice time, like to actually have like orgasms, and to really feel what's happening, and not be in my head so much. That's my main obstacle, is just like being in my head, and not being totally present with my body. And being present with your body is connected to so much. Like to be aware of what hurts, what feels good, what feels bad, just like how you're feeling at any given moment. Like I started talking to a therapist and exploring those things for myself a bit. And like there's this culture of just like hurrying and working and denying yourself so much that it's like it doesn't promote like a healthy relationship with yourself. How can it be profitable? How can it like support capitalism? Like it can't. Like you're not creating value for anybody except yourself, and I think that scares a lot of people in a way that maybe they don't even totally understand. You know, like it'll get called something else, or it'll be like called a different kind of problem, but I think at the core it's that once you actually know what you like and what you need, like it becomes very difficult to be told that there's something wrong with you, like spiritually, or like beauty wise, or health wise, or anything. That's part of why I'm kind of over it now, but I was kind of excited about Glossier as a brand, because Emily Weiss was like, who's the CEO and the founder, like was really into this idea of like not like telling customers like there's something wrong with you and here's the solution, or this is the way you should look, or like very like creating a problem and selling the solution, or like kind of like trying to standardize like what beauty is. And if you don't adhere to those standards, like you're not sexually viable, you don't have your shit together, whatever you want to say. That company has its own issues, but I think this like little part of the concept I think is pretty powerful, and I feel like more companies are going to be doing that. Like maybe they already are, like saying like, you're great, let me help you be great, let me help you be more yourself, and here's like how we can help. That's what I feel like we do at math. I don't know that we're super good at like selling that, because we do recognize the like kind of inherent irony in that, which brings me to this concept of détournement. It's like destroy the thing with the thing, or destroy the thing from within the thing. Maybe I can like insert the definition next to my face or right here or something. That'd be cool. I think that nowadays, like for an idea or a way of thinking to be considered successful or important, is for it to be commercially successful, commercially beloved, viable, and then like kind of within this package of company or business, you're able to deliver all these other interesting ideas that could potentially be subversive to even the business as a whole, or like capitalism as a whole. And I feel like people might be afraid of the idea of like capitalism not existing anymore because they can't imagine a different option. And I feel like so much of math is like inspired by like we want to inspire people to really imagine a different way in terms of how we talk about sex, gender, in our relationships too. Because the options that we're given, like that, they don't suit everybody, and we know it. And let's like talk about it. And I don't want to get into a rant on capitalism right now, but it doesn't benefit everybody, and progress is possible, like sort of like human progress, creating a better future, developing new technology. That's totally possible outside of capitalism. I think that's like one of the main stupid defenses for capitalism, is like it only happen progress can only happen with like the kind of what's the word, competition that's created by the capitalist market. It's not true, but anyway, so the idea that like success and sort of like to permeate ideas, so it's like, how do ideas spread is the question. How can you spread ideas quickly? I think cultural movements are a great way to do that, and really good marketing. And when both can happen, damn, you're unstoppable. I admit I don't think that I'm like super great at marketing. I think I'm good at coming up with sort of the core values and the kind of like mission of it, and I really am excited to work with people who are better at marketing than me. But right now, like the ability to have a successful business is one of the highest achievements you can have, for better or for worse. And in a way, I almost see it as more egalitarian than like going into like academia, like the world of ideas. You know, I came from a background in the arts. I went to art school. I really wanted to be a successful artist. And after a pretty like meaningful accomplishment of having this like big 2-person show at a really amazing art space in Baltimore, I realized that like the people that I was communicating to with my art was so limited, was so small. And then even amongst the people that I did reach, there were even fewer that were interested in what I was interested in, or even like picking up on like the main ideas that I was trying to relay. And that kind of broke my heart, honestly. This show was right after graduating college, and I felt like it was the culmination of a lot of feelings and thoughts. Like after school, I finally had the opportunity to just like focus on kind of one idea that manifested as like many types of art pieces that I got to show all together. And it was really exciting, but ultimately disappointing. And that's kind of set me on this path to wanting to reach more people, to be in dialogue with more people, and yeah, wanting to reach the masses in a way. And so it's like, all right, there's like film, which I'm very passionate about. I found like very opinionated and emotional about films, because I do think that they have so much potential for spreading ideas and awareness and information. So when I see like a really major missed opportunity, it's just like so upsetting. So I hope one day that math can really expand into more of that mainstream media, like TV and movies, and even video games would be really cool. I think there's some really amazing, I think the future of like video games and social media is going to be very interesting. I don't think video games are going to be so like secular, so like cordoned off from the rest of social media. I think it's really going to be just like a part of what we think of social media being right now, like a place to hang out, a place to play with people, connect with people. I think that there's going to be a lot less like for forever it's been like all fighting games. Like the best big blockbuster games are like fighting. And I get it, like it has its place for sure, but I'm excited to see all the other experiences that we can have in like a immersive digital space, whether it's console, desktop, VR, AR, or whatever. And I think COVID has really expedited that, because like people who maybe like don't call themselves gamers, or even like haven't had a gaming console in a really long time or ever, they're like picking up the Switch, they're getting on board with like the PS5 that just came out. Like people are needing stuff to do at home, and they're turning to gaming, and I think like an already broadening community, like women, and like even video games have been quicker to like represent people. Like there's so many more Black characters in video games now, and like queer characters and women. I feel like they're actually like pretty responsive to the needs of users, and like other platforms should take note of that. Anyway, you know, so the idea that like, how do you reach a lot of people? How do you kind of like introduce them to maybe a different way of thinking about these things, your body, your relationship with your body, relationships with other people, sex, pleasure, all this. And it's such an emotional thing. It's a tender thing. It's a really personal thing. It's scary to talk about this, and I super get that. Like, I get embarrassed, I get nervous talking about it. I'm trying to get better about like sharing and seeing like my experiences as even being like valid to share. And I think like no experience is better or worse than another. That's the thing about like selling problems, like creating problems and selling solutions. It's like having your eye makeup look this way is the right way, and so you need this product in order to achieve that, right? Like, and any other way is like not cool. It's like looks bad, looks trashy, looks undesirable. I don't have any time for that. I really believe that everybody's experience is valid, and nobody's is like superior. I think especially in like progressive, like sexual spaces, like people who are really passionate about the kind of work that we do at Math, people who like strongly identify with doing this kind of work on themselves and helping other people, can just get so locked into a certain set of like values and terminology and ways of thinking about these things, and it can be super impenetrable. Dan and I have been to a lot of different sex parties, and we were definitely looking for a community of people that we felt like we could maybe like see regularly and get to know and like really feel like connected to other people, like sexually and non-sexually, but maybe like around sex. And we never really found that, unfortunately. We were very much ready to find an event we liked, a group of people that we got along with, and then like consistently show up. That was like one of our mantras, is like if we show up consistently, we'll build those relationships and we'll get to know people and we'll get more comfortable. But we couldn't even get that far. There's always this sense of like everybody already knows each other, and there isn't like a lot of entry points. There's not a lot of like ways into it. You know, I'd even been like invited to like an all femme party, and we were like pre-gaming and stuff at somebody's house, and like I was pretty nervous, but I'm glad that I went. And I always try to stay like a little bit past my like I get to a point where I'm really just uncomfortable and I want to leave, and I don't let myself leave, and I stay a bit longer until like you know, to really give myself the opportunity to like get comfortable, like understanding that it's an option to leave, but I don't have to take it right now. And a lot of times that would really work for just giving it a fair shot. But at this pre-game for a femme party, it just, I really struggled to get like to connect with anybody, you know, and I mean just like talking, I mean just like having a conversation with people, and I didn't even go to the party that we were like pre-gaming for. I just went home, which I'm glad I did, because I recognized that I was not feeling it, and I was not feeling like I was nervous already, and then like being in this situation of kind of not connecting with anybody before going to like an even more intense environment and like sort of vulnerable environment. I just was like, no, I'm gonna go home and play video games, and that's fine. But I think that's super common, and I think it's probably pretty easy for that dynamic to form. And I'm always trying to find ways to undermine that clickiness and to create scenarios that make space for new people, or for people who maybe are normally quiet and are looking for kind of like an in. I really want to help with that. I want to facilitate that. I think anytime you're in a community of people that is passionate about something that is kind of anti-establishment or anti-status quo, you're gonna have a certain kind of like bond, and a sort of like even suspicion. There is a kind of special bond that is formed when people are coming together around a particular cause, and I think that can be beautiful, but it can also make it hard for people to become a part of that cause. It can make it hard for people to really understand it, and I'm really interested in doing it differently. Yeah, I can't help but think about like proselytizing, where you're incentivized to bring people into your fold, into your community. And you know, it's because like with religions, people think like it's right, or you're gonna go to hell if you don't get down with what I'm trying to do, and stuff like that. Like that's messed up. To me, it's more like, hey, like, you have options. It doesn't have to be this way. Like, your life can be the life that you want, and you can feel good in your body. Again, like, I don't have that all sorted out. I do not have that all figured out, but I know that there's different ways to be than the few that we're presented with generally, and I want to help people realize that and meet people who feel the same way, because I think it's most people. I hope this video is good. I hope I said interesting things that maybe you want to like talk about. Maybe you're like excited to think about this stuff too, or interested in it. If you are, I think you'd probably like our magazine. You'd probably like our Discord community.
Keep right and then right turn.
I mean, her voice is kind of foxy, right? Like, you know, this YouTube is really meant to be like a beacon to reach as many people as we can. Let me know what you think. I'm super interested in hearing from folks. You know, I'll see you in the next video. Till then, I hope you take care of yourselves. I hope you drink water. I hope you're drinking your water. I hope you're getting enough sleep, but maybe not too much sleep, because you know, that seasonal depression is on the way, at least for me. Anyway, I think you're great, and I'll talk to you soon.